Good evening. It's May 17th, 2025, Saturday. It's my pleasure and honor to be speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich. How are you doing today, Mr. Jeckovich?
Very good, thank you.
You're looking well.
Yeah.
You're looking well.
Yeah.
How was your dinner?
Good, very good.
Good. No problems?
Oh,
Okay. We're reading Mr. Jeckovich's book. It's titled Their Mother's Sons. And how many pages is this book?
849.
849. Mr. Jeckovich was in Company H during World War II, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift, right?
Right.
Today is a gift, yeah. Listen, boys and girls, it's a short dance around the sun. It goes fast. Mr. Jeckovich told us last month he blinked his eyes at 20 years old,
Yeah.
and now he's 100. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
It went that fast.
Uh,
You blinked your eyes. Mr. Jeckovich was born in 1925 when gasoline was 7 cents a gallon. A beautiful home was $2,000. A brand new car was $500. And now we're in 2025 and Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100.
Wow.
Pearly Gates.
The pearly gate. I like your style. Mr. Jeckovich now is knocking on the door of 100. Isn't that great? We're on the second time around reading your book titled Their Mother's Sons. We're on chapter 6 and that page 126, and that is titled Home on Furlough and Farewell to Anne. But before I open up my laptop to get into the book, I'll need the passcode.
42965.
Is that not also your dog tag number?
Yeah.
You have a great memory. You have a great memory, Mr. Jeckovich. Wow. Mr. Jeckovich, during World War II, he was a teenager with many other fighters during World War II.
33.
Yeah, the code was 33. And Mr. Jeckovich's last battle was in the Battle of the Bulge when the weather conditions were like 30 or 40 below. The soldiers did not have the proper clothing, and unfortunately Hitler had his last-ditch effort to kill many American boys. He sent out 600,000 combat Nazis and 6,000 tanks. They go through the Ardennes Forest. Now you must keep in mind, no one ever thought a battle would take place in the Ardennes Forest due to the fact that the trees are so close together, tanks and equipment just couldn't get through. But Hitler still did it. The Americans eventually won the battle, but there was great casualties. The American soldiers got caught off guard, and it turned out Mr. Jeckovich was in Bastogne at the time, surrounded by several 100,000 Nazis and his one company. And the weather conditions were very cold, 30 or 40 below, the coldest winter of record, and they could not get any air support. It was snowing heavily, there was fog. 3 or 4 days went by, and his orders were not to give up Bastogne. If you give up Bastogne to the Nazis, it'll be a very bad position for the Americans to keep fighting. So they did give up Bastogne, but their casualties were at 97%. 97% casualties. And then when the air support came in and thousands of paratroopers, Mr. Jeckovich and his division kicked Hitler's ass back to Germany, which he later committed suicide. And that was end of Adolf Hitler. As a side note, when Mr. Jeckovich was drafted in World War II. His division was all teenagers. They're all teenagers, right out of high school.
33s.
The code is 33s. They're right out of high school, and they were affectionately referred to as the Diaper Division,
Yeah.
affectionately. It wasn't a derogatory statement, and the reason why, Mr. Jeckovich,
Yeah.
why do they call
Because
it?
they were young.
Because you're young.
Yeah.
You're green.
Yeah.
And after they held off Bastogne with 97% casualties, they were given another name. They were giving the name of the Bloody Bastards of Bastogne. That's what they're called. That's
Yeah.
what they were called
Yeah.
now. Keep in mind, during the war, Mr. Jeckovich was shot in the shoulder by a sniper. He was beat up. He was stabbed, bombed,
Lost a hip.
lost a hip, frostbite, and also he still has shrapnel in his body now from a dirty bomb.
Yeah.
Explain to us what a dirty bomb is.
They put the razors and screwdrivers and everything else they could get in there.
Yeah, the Nazis would pack all kinds of nasty pieces of metal in this bomb, so when it blows up, it does the most amount of horrible damage to the American soldiers. They'd put tools in there, they'd put razor blades, pieces of scrap metal, anything that would shatter
Yeah.
at a long distance
Yeah.
and do a great deal of damage to these young boys. His fellow American soldier was Donald Lape. Donald Lape got hit by a dirty bomb, blew off his head, and the only thing left was his ear, his glasses hanging out his ear. That's Mr. Jeckovich removed the glasses, kept his one dog tag number, and wrote a beautiful letter to Donald Lape's mother and father.
Yeah.
And that's the same bomb that Mr. Jeckovich got hit with, and he still has that metal in his body today. Still has metal in the body today. Keep in mind, during World War II, we had 16,400,000 young men and women participating in the war. 16,400,000 young men and women. Today, Mr. Jeckovich was combat infantry. He wasn't on the rear echelon. What did rear echelon do?
Supported them.
Support them, but they weren't fighters on the front
no.
line. Mr. Jeckovich was combat infantry, and we only have 6,000 of them left. 6,000 of them left. And we're losing them at a rate of 150 a day. So do the math. This is a true World War II humble hero. He didn't talk about the war until 2 or 3 years ago. He wrote this beautiful book, 849 pages, and it takes you from the time he was 11 years old, when he started taking care of his mother full-time, because his father came from another country, a legal immigrant through Russia, through Ellis Island, and he worked 3 different jobs to give Mr. Jeckovich and his 2 other sons and daughter a better life. 3 jobs. At the age of 43, the man worked so hard that he had a heart attack while mixing cement. While mixing cement. And that generation of immigrants came. They came to work. They came to better their families. They came to give back to America. The immigrants we have coming in today, for the most part, come to work the system. Work the system. So when your father died at 43 of a massive heart attack, and you're 11 years old, how were you notified?
But police called the house at 8 o'clock in the afternoon and said your father was dead.
And then
your father
what
was in the
happened?
hospital.
And then what happened?
I went to the hospital.
And then did the police drive you there?
Yeah.
And then what'd you do? Did the police escort you in?
No, they just dropped me off at that.
Dropped off 11-year-old boy.
I asked the nurse there, where's my father? She said, I'll take you downstairs.
Okay, so the police dropped you off, you walked inside the hospital, you asked the receptionist, where is
My father.
my father? You thought you were going upstairs because you thought he might have broken an ankle
Yeah.
or an arm. And where'd they take you?
They took me down to the morgue
And what'd they ask you to do?
to go through his pockets.
So they at first asked you to identify the body,
Yeah.
right? You just identify the body. Was your father's eyes open or closed?
Closed.
Did he have cement on him?
Spent a little bit on his face, a little bit on his pants.
43 years old.
Yeah.
And then they asked you to go through his pockets.
Yeah.
What did you find in his pockets?
Well, a can of Prince Albert and the papers, they roll that stuff out. And a couple of keys for the house, and a couple of quarters and a nickel and a dime.
And that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So from that point on, that's why the book was written, Their Mother's Sons, because of the fact Mr. Jeckovich became the sole caretaker of his mother,
Yeah.
Anna Targus Jeckovich. Anna Targus Jeckovich. So he took care of her from 11 to her demise at her age of 89. 89. And Mr. Jeckovich has made many sacrifices in doing that. One of the sacrifices is crystal clear. Did you enlist?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I had to stay home and help my mother.
Okay, let me explain this further. His two other brothers enlisted, and by enlisting they got very easy jobs during World War II. One brother was teaching cadets how to drive a Jeep.
Yeah.
Was that brother that was teaching cadets to how to drive a Jeep, did he have some great driving experience?
No, he had a fire hydrant.
He had a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
And so the Army said, you're qualified to teach that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his other brothers enlisted, they never seen combat. But Mr. Jeckovich, they never left the country, the United States. Mr. Jeckovich, he waited to get drafted because he wanted to spend more time with his mother. The draft gave him a few more months to spend with his mother.
Yeah.
So what happens basically when you got drafted, if you got drafted in World War II, 99.9% of the time, they're going to send you to front line with a machine gun.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did.
Well, they gave me a little 6 months leave.
Yeah, I know, but where'd you end up?
I
On the front line.
went over in Europe, yeah.
Front line. And a lot of people don't know this, but Mr. Jeckovich received many medals during his combat fight as a teenager. He received the Bronze Star Medal, the Purple Heart, the Army Good Conduct Medal, the American Campaign Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 3 Bronze Service Stars.
17 minutes.
He received the World War II Victory Medal, the Army of Occupational Medal with Germany Clasp, the Combat Infantry Badge, the Sharpshooter Badge with carbine, pistol, and machine gun bars, the Marksman Badge with rifle bar, and the Honorable Service lapel button from World War II. Now, these medals I just described to you did not come from words in his book. He never mentioned them. They came from Major Sergeant Michael A. Rice of the Assistant Chief Awards of the Decoration Branch of the Department of the Army of U.S. Army Human Resources Command at 1600 Spearhead Division Avenue, Department 480, Fort Knox, Kentucky. That's where the information was come from. I was looking at your initial draft when you got drafted, Mr. Jeckovich. You were 187 pounds.
Yeah.
How much you weigh now?
151.
You have a lot of catching up to do.
I don't do
You
it.
have a lot
I
of
don't say I'll do it.
If you put your 2 uniforms on now, they fit really loosely.
Oh, yeah.
In a way that's good. Most guys would fit tight. So you're very happy. You're lucky. 157 pounds. And it says here, before you went into service as a teenage boy, you were doing sheet metal work. What's that about?
I work with my uncle,
Uncle who?
Uncle Andy,
Okay, Uncle Andy. What was sheet metal work all about?
and putting ducts in the factories, air conditioning.
And your Uncle Andy was a very smart guy to
Oh,
do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
3rd grade education.
Yeah. It doesn't, you don't have to have a college education to be smart. In fact, a lot of people are finding that out.
Yeah.
8 years of college right now and I'm working in Burger King. But that's a good point you made there. And I'm also noticed on this list that the government filled out about you, you lived at 3063 Orleans Avenue, Niagara Falls, New York. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, that was a beautiful neighborhood then, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was beautiful neighborhood then, yeah.
Not many houses on the street.
You know, 3 houses,
And you had a simple life.
yeah.
If you boys, for example, wanted to go ice skating, what did you do?
Open the fire hydrant.
Yeah. And the next day you had an ice skating rink,
Yeah.
right? What happens if you did it now?
You get, well, the police get after you.
Yeah, that's right, Mr. Jeckovich. So you lived there all your life. The arrangements were you lived upstairs, and your mother lived downstairs, and your beautiful wife, Delphine, was your mother's best friend.
Oh, yeah, she's the best friend I had, yeah.
2 peas in a pod.
Yeah, yeah.
How long were you married for, Mr. Jeckovich?
69 years.
69 years. Mr. Jeckovich, when he asked to his wife, when he asked Delphine Stulek her hand in marriage, they were at the Roman Catholic Basilica in Tonawanda, New York. She accepted, and then they went up to the altar of the Roman Catholic Basilica, and he just said a short prayer for a long and happy marriage. How'd that turn out?
69 years.
I guess the prayer was answered.
Yeah.
I guess that prayer was answered. Minutes, please. I guess that prayer was answered.
13.
Okay. Mr. Jeckovich, we have always papers of text and text and text. And we probably won't have time to get to them, but we're going to just ask a couple. For example, this beautiful book you wrote is 849 pages. Where could you buy it and how much is it?
Where did I buy?
No, the book you wrote, how much is it, where could you buy it?
I didn't sell it.
Not for sale.
Not for sale.
No, the book is not for sale, and he didn't write it for that reason.
No.
He wrote it as a roadmap for the younger generations to have a better idea how to live a happier and simpler life. There's one original copy in the World War II Museum in New Orleans. In fact, they're doing the AI of Mr. Jeckovich right now, a full body AI, where 5 years from now, 10 years from now, he'll look just like this, the same mannerisms, the same voice, and you could ask him any questions.
Yeah.
But if you want to ask Mr. Jeckovich any questions now, simply text him at 407-366-0000. We won't get into a lot of your longevity because that's the questions we always hear, but give us a quick example of your longevity. How'd you make it to 100 in pretty good shape?
The genes.
Genes. Well, you never took a prescription in your life.
Oh.
You never took a vitamin. You jogged for 80 years, right?
Yeah, I ran every day.
Jogged for 80 years. Why did you get started in jogging? How'd you find out
Oh,
about it?
I wrote Johnson's book.
Yeah. 80 years ago when Mr. Jeckovich started jogging, it wasn't acceptable, nor was it fashionable. So when you're jogging down the road in your corduroy pants, and your t-shirts, and your big ugly boots, what would people say to you?
Get off the road, you bum.
Yeah. Get off the road, you bum.
Yeah.
Would they throw things at you?
Oh, yeah.
Throw empty cans of beer at them?
Stones,
Genesee
rocks,
beer.
they go there.
One time they popped them in the head with a full can of Campbell's soup. It wasn't acceptable then. They thought that he was jogging because he couldn't afford a car. Now 80 years fast forward, look how things have changed. I see joggers on every corner, right?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of joggers wearing these very expensive glowing uniforms, like fancy sneakers,
Yeah.
fancy pants, fancy hats, fancy shirts, water wrapped around their waist, some type of music playing. Did you ever get into that?
No, I just had a t-shirt and a pair of pants on.
That's what I thought. So you got the job done.
Yeah.
Why do you think these people are getting so dressed up to go jogging?
The show-offs.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, they're wearing some outfits, boy.
Yeah.
That bright neon, you can see them coming. Yeah, I guess it's all about fashion now. What advice do you give to a young person that wanted to start jogging?
Start jogging, set a goal, and make the goal, increase the goal.
Right.
Don't stop and run. Don't stop and run. Run
Be
continuously.
steady. Yeah. See, Mr. Jeckovich jogged for every 80 years, that's why he's here today. But as a result, his knees blew out. When your knees blew out, that's it, you're in a wheelchair. That's the end of the story there. But he jogged for 80 years and he's got great, abundant health. And I'm sure all those bad guys that were saying those derogatory things about Mr. Jeckovich are now pushing up daisies. Can I have a minute count, please?
Nine minutes.
9 minutes. So the book, we know, is not for sale. Mr. Jeckovich has plenty of money. He doesn't need that. He's doing fine without any book sales, I can tell you that. But his book is to give youngsters a better life. And some of the ideas we have are, to the youngsters, are, I really like for them to know about hand-me-down clothes and homemade ice cream.
Yeah.
And whether, and leftover meatloaf sandwiches, I really would. I hope you learn humility by being humiliated, and that you learn honesty by being cheated. I hope you learn to make your own bed and mow the lawn and wash your car. And I really hope no one gives you a brand new car when you're 16. Did anyone ever give you a car at 16? No. It'll be good if at least one time you can see puppies being born and your old dog put to sleep. I hope you get a black eye fighting for something you believe in. I hope you have to share a bedroom with your younger brother. That's all right if you have to draw a line down the middle of the room. But when he wants to crawl in under the covers with you because he's scared, I hope you let him. When you want to see a movie with your little brother who wants to tag along, I hope you let him come. I hope you have to walk uphill to school with your friends and that you live in a town where you can do it safely. What was your walking to school experience?
Walking. During the daytime?
Yeah.
My house was 2 miles from Gaskell
You went to Niagara Falls High School,
High School.
and then from Niagara Falls
High school went to Stratton
so
Vocational.
you went to 2 high schools simultaneously.
Yeah.
So once you got half a day at Niagara Falls High School, you went
Then
to
I went to Kresge's.
and then you walk all the way across the other end of the town to Main Street, Niagara Falls, to be at Kresge's. And what'd you do there?
I was a stock boy.
Okay, that's good. If you want a slingshot, I hope your dad teaches you how to make one instead of buying one. I hope you learn to dig in the dirt and read books. Yeah. Tell us about your book experience when you were
I'm a Book of the Month Club.
And the Book of the Month Club was
You get a book every month if you wanted to accept it or not.
And then when they came to your mailbox, you had to get to the mailbox before your mother got there.
Oh yeah, and then put it under the bed.
And why did you have to do that?
She said I was spending too much money on books.
Yeah. And then where'd you have to read the book to keep away from your mother?
I sit in the garage.
Yeah. Boy, mothers would love to have their kids reading books like that today. Yeah. May you skin your knee climbing a mountain, burn your hand on a stove, and stick your tongue on a frozen flagpole. Here's one of the better ones. I don't care if you try a beer once, but I hope you don't like it. And if a friend offers you dope or a joint, I hope you realize he is not your friend. Yeah. I sure hope you make time to sit on the porch with your grandma or grandpa and go fishing with your uncle. May you feel sorrow at a funeral and joy during the holidays. I hope your mother punishes you when you throw a baseball through your neighbor's window and she hugs you and kisses you at Christmas time when you give her a plaster mold of your hand. Now here's a wind it out. These are the things I wish for you. Tough times and disappointment, hard work and happiness. To me, it's the only way to appreciate life.
Yeah,
So you're basically saying, if they don't know hard times, they'll never know good times.
yeah.
Wow. Minutes, please. If they don't know hard times, they'll never know good times.
4.
So you spent most of your life at 3063 Orleans Avenue, and it was a very nice house in a very nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you did all kinds of things around the neighborhood. But would you ever consider moving back today?
No, it's a dump. It's shut down. There's nobody living there now.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And you said you worked at Kimberly-Clark for 35 years. How'd you get there?
I worked with my uncle at every factory in Buffalo and Niagara Falls, and I found out that Kimberly-Clark was the cleanest.
I see. So you decided after the war to work at Kimberly-Clark because it was the cleanest.
Yeah.
And how would you get to work every day?
Walked.
What would you do during a snowstorm?
Walked.
What would you do during a rainstorm?
Walk.
So you worked there for 35 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time. How long you been retired for?
It's 1980.
So you've been retired 45 years?
Yeah.
Damn, you beat the system. You beat the system. Most people retire at 65 and they're dead by 66. You beat the system. Oh, by the way, if you're 40 years old, you have only a 10% chance of making it to 100. That's how slim your chances. Yeah. Wow. Minutes, please.
3.
3 minutes. And you also worked as a boy before the service as an usher.
Oh, yeah.
What were the name of the movie theaters?
Saturn Cataract.
And did a bunch of, did 2 Greek brothers own that?
Sorry, again?
Did 2 Greek brothers own that?
Yeah.
And what was your uniform like as an usher back in the day?
White shirt and a bow tie and the black pants with a stripe on the side.
And what was your primarily duties?
Show people where the empty seats were.
It was that busy.
Yeah.
Was that Main Street back in the day diagonal parking?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would happen on Saturdays when you played all the horror films?
Well, the kids would get excited and they'd pee on the floor.
Was that a regular occurrence?
Yeah.
And then what did the boss tell you to do?
John, get in there and clean that up. It smells like hell.
Was that during the movie playing?
Yeah.
Wow. So I imagine you got to watch a lot of movies,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Was there a smoking allowed then?
Now, up at the balcony.
Oh, in the balcony, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. They had balconies then.
Yeah.
Back then you could smoke?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow. And then you also were a newspaper boy.
Yeah.
What was the name of the newspaper?
Gina Klasinski.
So that was primarily a Polish newspaper.
Yeah.
How many were on your route?
How
How many were on your route?
I had 150 papers.
Wow. Did you use a wagon?
No, I used my bike, a black deck bicycle.
Wow. Even during the winter?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Even during the rainstorms?
Oh, yeah.
Did all the Polish people pay you well?
Well, you had to fight for them.
You had to fight for your money?
Yeah.
Wow. Minutes?
1.
So what happens when you go up to their house and and you said you wanted to get paid?
That's the whole, I repaid you last week. Get out of here.
Did any of them speak English?
Oh, yeah. Most of them smoke.
Or they were subscribing to an all Polish
Yeah.
written newspaper?
Yeah.
Did your mother get that newspaper?
Yeah.
What did she do with it?
Watch the obituary.
That's fun.
Your mother was a fine soul. She was born on August 13th, 1899.
Yeah.
Minutes, please.
She'd be mad at you saying that right now. 20 seconds.
Yeah, August 13th, 1899.
Boy.
Wow. Hard to say that number, isn't it?
Huh?
Hard to say that 1899, isn't it?
1899.
Yeah. Wow, she's seen a lot of things during her lifetime.
Yeah.
She made it all the way to late 80s.
Yeah.